All right, as Ron mentioned, we're going to dive into Amazon Bedrock. And today's agenda, we're going to talk about customers' need that we're seeing for Gen AI, how Amazon Bedrock's overview of our service, some of the new features we're constantly evolving. This space is moving very fast, and then just some links to how to get started with Bedrock at the end. So, what are generative AI customers asking for? Commonly asked questions are, what models should they use for their specific use cases? How can I quickly deploy my application? And how can I do it secure and privately? And we've designed Amazon Bedrock to solve these problems. As we get into the features and dive into, feel free to ask questions, but that's exactly why we built the platform. And this is a slide that I like to show. So we started in the infrastructure for FM training with ML, right? Years ago. That's where you find SageMaker, GPU. So those are where you have infrastructure to build your own models for custom models. And now with Gen AI, we're moving up the stack, right? Where we have Bedrock in that middle stack for application development for internal and external use cases, and Amazon Q. I would say Amazon Q is just mostly for internal use cases and starting to mature so that it can be used for both as well. But today we're going to focus on Amazon Bedrock and some of the capabilities that are built into that service. So, just a quick overview. It's got all the leading FMs. We'll go through. We'll have a shot on that just to show you what's there. Model customization. We'll talk about that feature. RAG, which is also known as Bedrock Knowledge Bases. Agents to simplify your task as you build out your applications and actually store and share those agents and prompt engineering across your organization. And we'll talk about security, privacy, and safety as we dig into the day. So typically, what happens on the customer journey? There's a business use case. Then there's a choice of the ML model or the Gen AI model. There is some data privacy or security guardrails that are applied, some prompt engineering, and there are some data flows that need to go into curating your data, making sure if you have to pass data in and out of the different models. And Amazon Bedrock is designed to help accelerate that process. We'll talk about that on the upcoming slides. So for the there's a broad choice of models that are available in Bedrock. And the cool thing is your AWS admins can actually control what the users in your environment are able to use. You basically have to subscribe to these models and grant permission. So even though they're available in Bedrock, you still have the authority to deny or allow different model usage within your organization. One of the key features is model evaluation. So this is something that comes up a lot. How to pick my model or how to evaluate the model that you have. So there is a feature in Bedrock called model evaluation where you have two methods of evaluating your output from your model. There's an automatic model evaluation where we're using curated data sets to automatically give you some feedback on accuracy, latency, and cost from the model's behavior. And then there is a human evaluation method where you can give your teams access to the model, to the output, and evaluate the model's output based off of your own data sets. And this has been really good for helping teams narrow down the right model for their use cases. Common approaches for customizing FM. So you've heard about this throughout all the presentations from prompt engineering, RAG, fine tuning, and pre-training. And we're going to talk about how we natively built these services out or features out in Bedrock, so we make it easy for you to deploy your applications. So from prompt engineering, there is a feature in Bedrock called prompt management that allows you that enables you to build your prompts and also keep them in a library and catalog them so you can share them across your organization. And then the next slide, you'll see it's also got a visualization, and it's pretty straightforward. You define, you create your prompt, you test your prompt, and then you can put it in production, all from the GUI. And then to help as you start to build out more and more applications and have a library, there's actually a prompt flow, and it actually gives you a visual of all the prompts that you have. Let's say if you have input from one request going into another application, or you have a Lambda function pulling data from another data source feeding into your Gen AI application, you would be able to see that flow in a visualization. One of the key Bedrock features is knowledge bases, and here's what we did. We basically built out a knowledge base or a RAG that's pretty straightforward. You go in, you select your data source, and we'll talk about what those data source options are next. You select the model, the embedding model that you want to use. You select the FM model that you want to use, and then it creates the app. It creates the RAG for you. It's just like 5 or 6 steps, and it's very straightforward to get a knowledge base stood up in Bedrock. So let's talk about the knowledge base sources. So this, I think last month or 2 months ago, this was limited to S3 only. And as you see, we're continuously to add new features. So now you have a web crawler for any URL that you want to add. Confluence Cloud, there's a connector for that. SharePoint has been a popular one where folks already have their data in SharePoint, curated a lot of times, and they just point the knowledge base agent to their SharePoint directory and then Salesforce. For the vector DB, so what happens is you ingest the data from your source, and then it gets vectorized in a vector database. We're starting to add more and more database types here, and the whole thought process is if we are allowing you to use the same native services that you're using in Amazon today for your database types, you don't have to have multiple copies of the data. You can use your production or nonprofit data sets as your sources for your Gen AI applications, and not have to have multiple databases that you're managing and paying for. And you can trust that data because it's running in your production environments. Agents for Bedrock. Here, this is creating an agent is really a 4-step process. You select the FM that you want to use, provide some basic instructions, and this is pretty much your data flows. Then you give it the relevant the data sources that you want to run the flow against, and then you give it the action that you want. And here, the code is created by Bedrock. So you pretty much go through and define these 4 steps, and instead of having to write code for your agent, Bedrock does it for you automatically. And again, Bedrock is designed to make it as little code or no code as possible, and really be able to help you get your Gen AI application deployed as quickly as possible. Guardrails for Bedrock. Here, this is really to help make with your data governance, and it's really to help reduce. This feature is really help to reduce hallucinations, making sure that you don't have harmful content. You can put a filter in not to have harmful content come back. You can deny certain topics if you don't want topics to be able to be displayed in your Gen AI application. And a feature that's coming soon is it may be out now, is the ability to remove PI data and sensitive information from your Gen AI application. And these are features that are all built into the Gen AI solution. You don't have to go develop these. And one of the main things from a security standpoint for Bedrock, with the public FMs, you are able to benefit from the models being trained by the provider. But once you connect to Bedrock and your data sources, we don't go back and train those original models. Your data is trained only in your Amazon account and your VPC. We don't change regions. We don't train the base model, so your data is kept secure and safe, and you don't have to worry about it getting out publicly. And you see at the bottom there the compliance standards that are here too. So FedRAMP High, GDPR, SOC, all the common compliance standards are supported with Bedrock today. And you'll get this link, but there's a quick link to getting started with Bedrock. There's a tutorial that I found to be pretty interesting, and then there's a deep dive hands-on workshop that allows you to go in and play and build out Gen AI applications using Bedrock. I think it's a chatbot application in that workshop. And that's my last slide. Thank you, Ron.